Welcome back, Dolphins fans. Day 11 of training camp only open to the media, and I'm going to be reading the Sun Sentinel today because Dudley already put out a video, and he pretty much read the Miami Herald, so I don't want to repeat what he said. And we're going to get into it. There's a couple good things today, a couple of bad things, and I think we're starting to zero in on the season and what we need to do. Please click that like and subscribe if you guys do enjoy the videos. It helps me out pretty well. And thank you for watching. And we're going to get into it right now. So the Sun Sentinel, the Miami Dolphins, were back at practice. And the list of players that were not playing, obviously Ashton Davis, Dante Trader Jr., and Cam Smith. You all know how I feel about the dude. Jason Marshall Jr. worked on the side after taking part in position drills, which is pretty good. Jaylen Phillips was back at practice, and he's starting to get irritated with people saying that he's injury prone. He had an interview where basically he was saying like, yo, chill out, which I kind of get it. It was just, with his career, it's just been such a freak accidents that have happened to him where it's like the turf that typically does the Achilles thing at the Jets MetLife Stadium, that typically happens to a lot of people. And then freaking Jordan Poyer just slams right into the back of his knee. So it's a freak accident, everything that has happened with him up to this point. I'm just hoping that he can stay healthy. Obviously, Barrett Matos was out. Jalen Conyers, I think, is going to be on IR. Jalen McKenzie, Andrew Meyer, and Alec Ingold, who obviously was in concussion protocol. And Elijah Safety wore a red jersey. The first 11 on 11s, first snap, Tua badly underthrew Tyreek Hill after he got behind Kendall Sheffield and Elijah Campbell. That's unfortunate. It is what it is. Larry Borum false started, and Jalen Wright stumbled in the backfield. Tua came back a few plays later with a long completion to Hill over the middle. Derek McClendon got close to him, which means he wouldn't have been able to continue the play in the game setting. So there's that. Alexander Madison had a nice gain to the outside where he was able to outrun Cameron Good to the corner. Zach Wilson's first pass was an incompletion to Westbrook Akine in traffic over the middle. Mo Kamara got Wilson for a would-be sack, which is good to hear. Mo Kamara has really done nothing so far in training camp, so that's really good to hear. Wilson was pressured on the next play by Hayden Rucci. I've never even heard of that guy. Don't even know who that is. Wasn't able to catch the pass thrown behind him. Oh, maybe that's a tight end. I think that's a tight end. Sorry. On the first play of the red zone period, Tua threw it incomplete to Devon Achane with Jordan Brooks in coverage. On the next play, Tua threw a TD pass to Nick Westbrook-Akine, who took advantage of a busted coverage, a nice Tua pump fake to get wide open in the corner of the end zone. On a couple of other plays, Tua threw the ball where he was pressured and couldn't find anybody open. On the next set, it was Wilson's turn to not find anybody open. Despite the NWI touchdown, the defense is owning the red zone work so far. That is really good to hear. Honestly, what's kind of crazy is the corners are not doing bad. It's like they're really doing a decent job, which is so strange. And we'll talk about the interview with Anthony Weaver in a little bit, but they're just playing the way that they need to play. Wilson throws a short touchdown pass to Devon Achane. Wilson then throws a touchdown pass to Eskridge in the back of the end zone. Quentin Bell got pressure on Wilson in the next series. After completion to D. Eskridge, Sander hit a 53-yard field goal with Jake Bailey holding as the two punters continue splitting those duties. Cameron Good's pressure from the edge forced a throwaway by Wilson. Rookie Ethan Robinson was called for a defensive pass interference in the end zone. Oh, no, that's Ethan Bonner. I don't know who Ethan Robinson is. On the next series of 11 on 11s, Tua overthrew Hill on a bomb after he got behind Sheffield. Right now, they're just trying to work back to their chemistry again. I think that's the reality of the situation. He overthrew him this time just in case anybody wants to go, Tua can't throw to Tyreek Hill or whatever the heck it was. He's been throwing to him for 3 years now, but people still think that he can't throw to Tyreek. I caution you. Any quarterback on your back foot to try and hit Tyreek Hill in stride as he's running full speed down the field. It's very difficult, and Tua does a very good job of it. Every once in a while, just like Patrick Mahomes, just like Josh Allen does sometimes, he's going to underthrow the guy, and as a professional wide receiver that's getting paid $100 million, I hope you can catch it. Tua then connects with Malik Washington for a 52-yard bomb down the left sideline after Washington beats Sheffield, who's having a bad day in deep coverage. Yeah, I heard Kendall Sheffield got beat a lot deep. I don't think he's going to be a starter, though, so I'm all right with it. It is what it is. Chop Wilson quickly got around the corner to get to Zach Wilson for a would-be sack. Lots of pressure on Wilson on the next step on the play that would have been a bust, though he goes for a short completion to Pharaoh Brown. On the second play of the next set, Tua has a nice completion near the sideline to Tanner Connor. Tanner Connor's been doing pretty well in training camp. Storm Duck had blanket coverage against Jaylen Waddle on a fade from the 9-yard line. Storm Duck is going to be the starter, is pretty much what I'm seeing right now, barring anything else. He looks like the best corner that we have, which kind of sucks because if Cater was there, having Mike Hilton, Cater, and Storm Duck, I might not be so, it is what it is. Tua had 2 straight incompletions, one when Malik Washington failed to come up with a low catch, and then when he overthrew Eskridge in the back of the end zone. This has been Tua's least effective practice of camp so far, and there really hasn't been a close second. I mean, this practice, the defense was tightening up, and he just did not have a good day. Zach Wilson with a nice completion to Tariq Black, though. Derek McClendon was in his face and maybe would have had a sack. Wilson had a 5-yard touchdown pass to Izukanma in the back of the end zone. McClendon gets close to Wilson for a would-be sack with Cameron Good close by. Ewers had a long completion to Theo Weiss. These two look phenomenal together. I mean, they have a really good rapport. Down the right sideline, after he got behind Isaiah Johnson, Grayson Murphy got around newcomer Jalen McKenzie to get Ewers quickly for a would-be sack. Tua had 2 consecutive completions to Waddle in the red zone drill. Let's go. That connection's going to be fire this year. Tariq Black made a nice contested catch over Ethan Bonner despite great coverage. That's going to be another one of our big guys. Tariq Black is, I think, 6'3". So, I think he's going to be another one of the guys that we kind of need to have on the field for a touchdown catch from Wilson. Cameron Good did a good job sealing the edge on the outside run and was also held by Hayden Rucci. John Sanders was flagged for a defensive pass interference while covering NWI in the end zone. Should mention here, there was a lot of pre-snap penalties. Storm Duck has great coverage in the seam against NWI to force an incompletion from Tua. Tua comes back with a quick slant to Waddle, followed by another completion to Waddle near the sideline. I'm telling you right now, boy, I mean, hope nobody from my fantasy league is watching this, but I'm picking up Tua and Waddle. I think they're going to be a league killer this year. Because you're going to get them in like 4th and 6th rounds, you know what I'm saying? So I'm just saying. Sheffield breaks up an inside pass to NWI. Duck again with blanket coverage, this time against Eskridge in the end zone, a situation where the offense was down 4 points with the ball at the 13, 1 play left. It forces a Tua incompletion. Zach Wilson's end-of-game set begins with great coverage by Jack Jones down the right sideline against Taj Washington. The practice ends with Wilson incompletion after a pressure from McClendon, punctuating a dominant day for the defense, or a really bad one from the offense. That was by Alan Pupar. And, yeah, I mean, so we'll talk about it right now. Basically, the defense seems to be dominating the offense a little bit. Now, I want to preface this a little bit. This day was a little bit different because a lot of the time they're playing with the backup offensive linemen, and the backup offensive linemen are just trash. And Andrew Meyer's not even in right now, so I don't even know who the backup center is or anything like that. Right now, I mean, it's weird to say, and obviously we're going to see with this first preseason game and the joint practice that we're going to have coming up. It's weird to say, but Storm Duck is looking pretty good. He's able to cover Jaylen Waddle and Tyreek Hill, mostly Tyreek. And the reality of the situation is that they're just playing, again, they're not going to make 7 different plays every single game, but they're going to do their job. And that's what it's looking like so far. And if you heard the Anthony Weaver interview, which I'm going to pull up right now.
I see all the same things, and I think the sky's the limit. And it all starts, right? The bar is set to me by the leadership of those guys. And in that front 7, we have leaders on every level. You start with Zach Sealer up front with the D-line. I got to give credit to Benito Jones, too. He probably doesn't get mentioned a lot as a leader, but the growth I've seen in him in 2 years has been tremendous. He's trying to help some of these young bucks come along with their technique and fundamentals and strain and things of that nature. Outside back, we have a ton of them, right? You talk Bradley Chubb, Jaylen Phillips, Chop Robinson coming into year 2. Mm-hmm. All those guys are not not just leaders by example, just in terms of how they work and their approach to work every day, and just knowing that there's no governor on them. But they're also trying to influence some of these guys like Quentin Bell, who is an older player, but is still trying to refine his game and find his way. Mo Kamara, Cam Good, they've been tremendous influences on them. And then when you talk about our inside attackers with Terrell Dotson, Jordan Brooks, the leadership strides they've made coming into year 2 have been outstanding. And they're all like flag bearers for what we're trying to do from a culture standpoint. So the expectations we have for that front seven, they're high, and rightfully so. But that standard has been set daily by those guys, and that's why we have those expectations.
What kind of a message you send to the players when a guy like Zach Sealer gets rewarded?
I mean, so let me go back. Adelius Thomas has been here with our Bill Walsh minority internship. And to me, their paths are very similar, right? Adelius was a 6th-round pick, right? He was fighting to stay on a roster that ended up winning a Super Bowl. But every accolade he achieved.
Yeah, I mean, people forget that Zach Sealer was a practice squad player for
and you're seeing that
a couple years.
So while we may not have some of the names that you're used to around here in the secondary, no, I take that because we do have Minka Fitzpatrick. Let's not act like we're just, right, we don't have any names out there.
Yeah, we got some.
But those guys are fighting to make a name for themselves, and I think you're going to see that once the regular season starts.
Yeah, so pretty much I mean, I don't know if we're for sure going to keep just the corners that we have. But the way that it's looking is Anthony Weaver is trying to formulate a defense that you don't need big names. You just need people to do their job. And obviously we have Minka Fitzpatrick, and I think people forget about that Minka Fitzpatrick he's an all-star. Like, dude is a complete stud. He's been a stud in Pittsburgh. Some people say he fell off. I don't know how he fell off. He's been a phenomenal safety since he's been in the league. And right now, Storm Duck, the thing is these guys are playing against Tyreek Hill and Waddle. So you're going to have to play well in practice to guard. And if you can guard Tyreek and Waddle, I mean, it might be a little different against, Jamar Chase or one of those other guys. But for the most part, if you're able to stick with Tyreek and Waddle, you could probably stick with some other guys. And this is what they're banking on. They're banking on the front seven, with Sealer and Benito and Kenneth Grant and all of the guys that we have over there. They're banking on the first level, second level, and the fourth level being so complete that the corners kind of need to just do their job. Kind of similar to what the Patriots had. I mean, Patriots did have some good corners every once in a while, but, some of the time it was just, they just did what Bill Belichick needed them to do. And I hate to reference the Patriots, but the reality of the situation is that we do have players that can start. Like Storm Duck is looking like a starting corner. Jack Jones was a starting corner for the Patriots, and honestly, for a little bit, he looked like a decent corner back when he was younger. He just had some off-the-field crap. Mike Hilton was a starting corner for the Cincinnati Bengals for a really long time, and I'm forgetting. So those three guys pretty much have starter experience, and then you have, obviously, you're trying to throw in there Cam Smith, but I highly doubt. I don't think he's going to do anything this year. You got Jason Marshall, who's trying to make a name for himself, Isaiah Johnson. You have all these different guys that they're trying to take this opportunity and see. And what we're kind of seeing in practice right now is that they don't look horrible. Like when we were playing with like Noah and some of the other corners back in the day, I remember covering this team when like 2 years ago, we had Noah Igbenogany, and it was like if Noah made one good play, it was a crazy situation. Like, he was just so bad. And again, like Omar Kelly keeps saying for the Miami Herald, is that they just don't look bad. They don't look good, but they don't look bad. And the reality of the situation is they're kind of banking on the front seven to get home in enough time that you don't need crazy name corners, and that the safeties can kind of cover enough ground, and that the front seven can cover enough ground that you don't need anyone. You don't need to go and get somebody. You can be good with just a Jack Jones and a Mike Hilton. And, again, The unfortunate thing was Cater going down. I think if we had Cater, I would have been a lot more comfortable because I trust Cater will be Cater. I know what he can do. Storm Duck, I know it's a funny name, but that's probably going to be our starting corner. And I mean, stranger things have happened. We sit there and we think of the big names and all that stuff, but someone right now that just got paid from us, Zach Sealer, he started off as a Ravens practice squad player, and now he's one of the best defensive tackles in the league. So it's not like it can't happen. It's not like a Storm Duck or a Jack Jones can't turn into a pretty decent corner in a good system. It can happen, and I think that's what Anthony Weaver is banking on. And besides that, really the offense, I just, one thing that I'm really liking right now is the Tua to Waddle connection. It just seems like he trusts him more. It seems like he trusts Waddle a lot more, and the Tyreek connection with Tua, it seems off. It's always seemed off. When you think about Waddle and Tua since they started and got in the league together, because Waddle was drafted a year after Tua was drafted, they just always seem to have that connection that, I don't know, it just never really, it was hard to believe that Tyreek had that connection. I know they had a bunch of yards, but it's very easy to hit someone when they're wide open. It's more about the way that Tua works. He can trust Waddle that if he's going in between three players, he is going to go and run the right route and the right play. He's going to be the exact point that he needs to be at. Versus with Tyreek, sometimes you can't trust that. Sometimes he doesn't know where Tyreek is going to be because Tyreek just does what he wants to do, which it's worked. But again, I think this year, the Tua and Waddle connection, as you see, he's like having a hard time hitting Tyreek. And I know I'm making a big stink of something that maybe is probably nothing, but when it comes to Waddle, he just seems to always know where Waddle's going to be, and Waddle is always where he needs to be. And I'm telling you, I think this is the year that Tua is going to kind of go back to having, Waddle being the guy. He trusts Waddle. He 100%, like him and Waddle show up every single day and never have any sort of craziness or whatever going on outside of whatever it is. They just come in and they play football, They come in and they go to work. Whereas Tyreek, it's like a constant thing. And I think you're going to see that, When you sit there and you say what he said, I know Tua is trying to be professional and be like, you take some time to work back up to it. That's a hard thing to really come back from because you're basically, throughout the offseason, you were pretty much throwing Tua under the bus. Not even including him in quarterbacks lists, and it's a whole thing. And I think right now we're starting to see that quite possibly there's some sort of something there where it's like, I don't know, he's just not. Tyreek Hill is not just going to 180 change overnight. Like, it's not going to happen. I think he's still Tyreek Hill, and they're still seeing that he's Tyreek Hill. So I don't know. I think that Waddle connection is going to be legit this year. I think they're going to go back to Waddle's rookie year, and it's just going to be a lot of Waddle targets because he trusts him a lot more. And I think the way that Waddle has come in this offseason, he looks fitter, faster. He looks as though he was told this year that it's probably going to be his show now. He looks like he came into this year knowing that it's his show this time, and he's going to be the number one guy, and they're going to just do what they do with Tyreek. Tyreek's going to be there. He's going to get a lot of catches and all that stuff, but Waddle's going to take over the show, and then obviously next year we're going to move off of Tyreek, probably going to draft a couple wide receivers, maybe pick someone up, but it's going to be the Waddle show. I think this is the start of the Waddle show, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun to watch this season. But that's day 11. That's what I got for you guys. Comment down below. Let me know what you guys think. And also going to be doing like some member videos. So I'll let everybody know when I have like an exclusive member video. I think I'm going to be doing some sort of series or something like that. And we'll start doing like extra member videos. So if you want to have access to those, there will be a membership down below. And if you just want to support the channel, I appreciate that too. Praise God, love God. As always, guys. Fins up, baby. Love you all. Peace.